you are able and as you are led. And I'd invite you to contemplate this window. What stands out to you? What are you drawn to? What images do you see? What movement? What flow? What landscape? What grace? Can you picture yourself? As you contemplate, I would invite Joshua to join me. I would invite Lucy Williams, our fearless chair of our building committee, to join me. And I would invite Roberto Rosa and Dominique Iriti to come forward as well as we begin this rededication of the Angel and Cornelius window. As we continue to contemplate, I am going to remember safety protocols and get my mask. Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for a memorial before God. So goes the inscription in this window, dedicated to the memory of William Grover, who we have just heard about. Speaking of generosity. Friends, we have a chance to rededicate something. This does not often happen in the life of a community. The life of a community that stewards this incredible gift of a sanctuary, a national historic monument that is alive with a vibrant progressive faith community. We are deeply grateful for all who make this moment possible, to the saints that we have named who have gone before us, the many building committees that have served this church, the many architects who have helped shape and found it, the laborers who stacked stone upon stone, the artists who have brought stories to life. We give thanks to God as well for our current stewards, including our incredible building committee. I would invite anyone on our building committee now to rise. We have heard from Betsy Groves and Charlene James already. Please rise. You've heard them. Please rise. That means stand. You have heard from them as they read scripture this morning. Liz Visa, Marnie Warner. Are there others? Brian Bigler is not able to be with us this day. This is the building committee. We give great thanks to them for their faith, their hard work, their tireless efforts to sustain something, to do the impossible. Let's just face it. It's impossible to steward a sanctuary like this, and they do the impossible work thanks to God's grace and their integrity. So we thank them. You may be seated. Thank you. Congratulate our building committee. We all believe in non-hierarchical movements. However, there is something about a chair that actually makes things happen. Lucy Williams is, if you haven't met her, you should. Lucy Williams is the chair of the building committee here at Church of the Covenant. She's been doing it for many years, and she does it with incredible grace and efficiency, and she listens to everyone who gives input into how this committee should steward this building on behalf of this congregation, always remembering that we are one church. Lucy's an incredible source of light for this community, and I would invite her now to, can we give thanks to God for Lucy Williams? Lucy will take the mic from here and continue our rededication.
I want to first thank all of you who donated to the restoration of the Angel and Cornelius window, as well as the many of you who have and are donating to our current Renew the Light campaign to restore the Tiffany clerestory windows that is ongoing right now. But I want to give a special thanks to the Henderson Foundation for its ongoing preservation of both the exterior and interior of our building. Specifically, they provided the seed grant of $40,000 that allowed us to leverage other grants in order to restore this window. We are honored today to have Candelaria Silva Collins, the chair of the Henderson designators, in our service. Would you please stand and let us honor you and give you a warm welcome? Thank you so much. Our building is an integral part of our mission. In the 1980s, we actually thought about leaving our place on Newbury Street because we were afraid we could not maintain this building. But we decided to stay here and maintain it as a beacon for our community and our social justice outreach. Over the last 30 years, we upgraded our infrastructure and we funded extensive masonry and roof work to seal the shell of the building. In 2019, we were able to turn our attention to our seriously eroded Tiffany windows. Rededicating the Angel and Cornelius window is a major step in our decades-long commitment to maintaining our historic building to serve God and serve the people.
Thank you, Lucy. As part of that serving, artists need to be served by restorers. Art wears over time. It gets a little old. We heard about the dirt and the grime. Life happens, but restoration workers bring more art to life. And now we have such a privilege and honor to give thanks. Roberto Rosa, Serpentino Stained Glass Company, the life force behind that group. He has been here many times before. He is no stranger. We welcome Roberto back. Dominique, we are grateful for your work as well at Serpentino. Both of these and their crew are incredible stewards of this and many of our windows, including the clear story windows, which you notice are missing from above us. They are not missing from anywhere. They are at the house, I hope, at Roberto, right now, being restored as we speak. The other ones are on the other north side if you want comparison, if you don't know what they look like.
The first 7 of the
Thank
22.
7 out of 22. Count them up. So, Roberto, we would love to know from you just a little bit about this experience, what this has been like, if you could speak to this restoration process.
Thank you. What Pastor Rob did today asked me if I would take a couple of minutes to talk about say a few words about the restoration of the Angel and Cornelius window. As I was driving here this morning, I thought, how can I summarize a year and a half of work in a few minutes? Because it was challenging. But we're asked, as restorers, we're asked often, if not all the time, especially when working on restoring a window of this caliber, how do you even begin to work on something like this, so complex? Well, carefully, slowly, and patiently. We've had the fortune to have restored many, many Tiffany windows over the last 30 plus years. And therefore, we're very familiar with their method of fabrication, the techniques that they used, the issues in restoration, and the challenges. And the Angel and Cornelius window is certainly challenging. The lead matrix that holds the glass together was severely, severely deteriorated. Removing the window was a huge challenge. We really thought we were going to lose some of the pieces because it was so bad, and we had to use special conservation tape to keep the pieces together from collapsing. And once in the studio and conservation and restoration started, as Pastor Rob perfectly stated earlier, there were hundreds of pieces of cracked and broken pieces of glass. Every single piece was removed from the lead. Every single piece was cleaned, some with Q-tips. And again, the multiple layers creating this window, and many, if not all, the Tiffany windows here, the grime and the soot was just incredible, which also meant that it diminished the quality and quantity of light transmission through the window. So all the 100 years of dirt and grime was cleaned off. Special lead had to be made to accommodate and accept the multiple layers and the thickness of the glass, and every joint resoldered, and after about a year and a half, here it is today, gleaming the way it did when it was first installed back then. I want to state that, and I speak for all of us at Serpentino, and especially my business partner and best friend now for over 30 years, Dominic, or Mimo as we call him. The windows in this building are truly spectacular. It's the largest collection of Tiffany windows in a religious building, not only in the country, but in the world. And every time we work here and we hear the duck tour bus go by, and they say that Arlington Street Church has the largest collection of Tiffany windows, it always kind of irks me a little bit. But anyway, we are so honored to be trusted with the restoration of these beautiful windows and to be part of the history of the preservation of Church of the Covenant. It's truly, truly an honor. And I just want to add a few words on a personal note, if I may. I know I'm going over my couple of minutes.
You're good. Ish.
I've been restoring windows for over 30 years now, and most of our work is in churches, religious buildings. And so over the years, I've met a lot of pastors, senior wardens, dealt with many, many committees. But as I stand here today, I can honestly say that I have never, ever met such an ambitious, motivating, inspiring group like the building committee here at Church of the Covenant. I know many of you. I've known Lucy since the early 90s, and as Pastor Rob said earlier, she is a force. I'm truly humbled to be here today, to be part of the restoration and conservation and preservation of this building, what the building committee has done, their hard work in making sure that the building, not just the stained glass windows, that the building is maintained and preserved. And I personally am, again, humbled to be part of your journey and to be part of Church of the Covenant, and most of all, for your friendship. And thank you so much, Lucy, and all of you, and thank you, Pastor Rob.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Mimo. Before we place ourselves up in this stained glass for our litany, which is written in your bulletin, one last thing. As I was starting to prepare for this service, who did I call? Charlene James, or emailed. Charlene James is our resident expert in these windows. She's written a ton about them. She knows a ton about them. And she reminded me of a few things. The palms of the saints and martyrs is held by the angel. This is a motif you see in this window, which has been replicated, 20 other times throughout the country. This was the mode, this was the model. This was the first one, we understand, right, to be constructed in this way, and then many other churches mimicked this through Tiffany and Company. But I just wanted to note that. Look at this light streaming through that palm. That palm is, again, a symbol of the ancestors, right? Those who spoke for justice, who lived their life with integrity, and some of them paid the ultimate cost. The angel is honoring Cornelius in that way and honors us. Friends, I'd invite us to place ourselves in this window as we are led in this litany now, as is printed in your bulletin. If you are willing, you can rise now on your feet or in your heart as we share this together. With Cornelius, we seek solidarity over empire, compassion over competition, and possibility over pessimism. We look beyond what terrifies and listen for divine directives. With undepicted Peter, we strive beyond our limited vision to live into God's expansive dream for all.
With William Grover,
we become the creative inventors and generous givers that see another world is possible. With artists Frederick Wilson and Louis Comfort Tiffany, we all become essential layers of rainbow hues that together let the light in.
and with all those, and with all who work to restore,
we choose beauty, we choose joy, we choose love. Amen. Thank you.